surrendering to the Russians. Not because they don't want to fight, it's because they can't fight anymore. I think all of the lies that have been told for more than a year and a half about the Ukrainians are winning.
Don't. It will change the face of war.
In a recent interview, retired U.S. Army officer and military analyst Colonel Douglas Macgregor shared insights into the challenges the United States faces in its defense budget, military strategy, and global interventions. Let's delve into the key points raised by Colonel Macgregor and their implications for U.S. foreign policy. Military spending. Colonel Macgregor highlighted the alarming trend of unchecked military spending, with the U.S. allocating $886 billion for defense, surpassing the combined budgets of 12 other nations. He argued that this runaway train of military expenditures is deeply ingrained in Washington culture, benefiting various interest groups while keeping unnecessary production lines running. Financial crunch and urgent need for strategy. The colonel emphasized that real change is unlikely until the U.S. faces a financial crisis, predicting that a fiscal crunch is inevitable. He called for an urgent development of a new national military strategy akin to NSC 68, focusing on defensive priorities, securing borders, and re-evaluating alliance commitments. This, he argued, is essential for aligning the defense establishment with the country's fiscal needs. Global interventions, Africa and Syria. Colonel Macgregor expressed skepticism about the U.S. involvement in conflicts in Africa and Syria, asserting that military interventions in these regions are counterproductive. He stressed that the U.S. should refrain from imposing societal norms and engage in business with other nations without pursuing regime change. Macgregor advocated for a strategic shift away from unnecessary interventions and a focus on domestic defense. NATO and European responsibility. Questioning the U.S. role in NATO, Macgregor suggested that European nations should take greater responsibility for their defense. He recommended conveying to Europeans that they need to be their own first responders, signaling a departure from the U.S. as Europe's primary defender. This proposed shift aligns with the original defensive principles of the NATO alliance. U.S. involvement in Russia-Ukraine conflict. Colonel Macgregor criticized the U.S.'s involvement in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, attributing it to the interests of an elite class centered around Washington, London, and New York City. He argued that there was no justification for the U.S.'s engagement, pointing out that Russia views Ukraine strategically, similar to how the U.S. values certain regions. Macgregor warned against underestimating Putin's commitment to his goals in the region. In conclusion, Colonel Douglas Macgregor's insights provide a critical examination of the U.S. military's overspending, global interventions, and strategic priorities. As the nation faces economic challenges, Macgregor advocates for a re-evaluation of defense strategies, emphasizing a shift toward prioritizing domestic concerns over unnecessary overseas engagements. This analysis indeed sparks thoughtful consideration about the U.S.'s role in global conflicts and the need for a more fiscally responsible and strategically sound approach to national defense. Thank you for joining us today to explore Colonel Macgregor's insights on the U.S. military spending and global interventions. If you found this analysis valuable, please consider liking the video, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and subscribing for more informational videos.